Hey guys, welcome to the Source Gaming discussion. I am your host, Epicmartin7, and today I am joined by the one and only Tris.
Hello.
And today we're going to talk about Nintendo's online service. So yesterday, May 7th, was the day to remember because Nintendo finally gave us some more information on their online service details. I'm gonna be completely honest. There is some excitement, but I would say that everything was more modest. Not trying to spoil the discussion here, but I'm just giving my honest input here. So, anyways, I guess the first thing we're going to cover, since people are probably going to ask, is a leak that's going around. You
Right.
probably know this as much as I do, Tris. E3 is the rumor mill time, and basically this leak said that Nintendo was going to reveal their online details on May 7th, and that's what happened in the Western Hemisphere. Now, obviously, Europe was May 8th, and Japan was May 8th when Nintendo revealed it, but technically speaking, people are still going to cling on to that. So, first of all, I just want to say
Right.
that first of all, from what do you remember of the leak, because we don't have it pulled up, and it's not going to be a main focus of this discussion, what do you think of the validity of the leak?
So, honestly, the only thing that leak really had going for it as of May 7th was, hey, it got May 7th right. Does that mean there's a lot more? And we saw everybody else start exploding over it and saying, oh my gosh, this means all these things are happening. But when you really looked at the content in it, when it talked about the online service, it has inconsistent details. Such as what we now know is like the NES games with online play that is not named the same thing this leaker claimed they would be named, and the leaker also claimed that different voice chat like websites and apps would be used, such as Discord, but the online service info that we just got details once again that we will still be using the Switch Online app for voice chat, which everybody complained about way back when Splatoon 2 came out. So they're sticking with that, and that's another big contradiction there. I'm sure there's more, but those are the two that caught my eye like immediately, which told me like, yeah, it was just a lucky guess of a day.
I'm going to be completely honest, and of course we're not going to cover too much of this, but I think this leak kind of goes into an overall picture, which I will personally give my thoughts on later in this discussion, in that a lot of the Nintendo Switch Online information that was revealed was not exciting, but it was modest, and I think people want something that's exciting, so they're clinging onto this leak in order to give that sense of hope that Nintendo is, on the right side of this, and they're going to push a really good online service. And honestly, you know what? Again, things change. Nintendo could reveal more information on this online service that totally proves his leak right, obviously. But honestly, at this point, I think it's a given conclusion that the only thing connecting this leak to anything current was the online service, and that would have been the thread connecting this all together. And I think that the thread is too cut and is not really a clear connection anymore. So, again, like you said, it was just the date that people were connecting. So I think it's a logical conclusion to throw this leak into the trash bin. Anyways,
Right.
that's just kind of our thoughts on it, and because we knew a lot of people would ask in the comments about it. So, anyways, let's actually get into the real discussion. And what we're actually getting into is official information. So, obviously, we knew that Nintendo was going to post some online information on their webpage because of their investors meeting, and people were pretty excited about it, However, I kind of thought in the back of my mind, okay, if it's just website information, it's not going to be that much, because if they were going to reveal tons of information, it would have to be almost in a video or a direct, in my opinion. So,
Right.
I think that this was overhyped. However, the way this information was revealed, I don't think detracts from what was posted, but it's still kind of modest. So let's first get into the Nintendo Entertainment System, Nintendo Switch Online posting. So, according to Nintendo, we're going to have 20 NES games, and these 20 NES games are the standard ones. You have the original Super Mario Brothers, The Legend of Zelda, Dr. Mario, Super Mario Brothers 3, Ice Climb. It's the standard fare, and they say that more is going to be revealed. So yes, this is just the beginning of all the info being posted. But and of course these were the ones that Nintendo went into detail, saying that there's going to be online play. So what do you think about this, Tris?
I think it's interesting that it launches specifically with 20 games, and these 20 are not all multiplayer games in the first place, such as like the original Legend of Zelda. So I actually found that rather interesting that it's not like it pulled all the multiplayer games in more of the details they release. Is one of the things they'll do is similar to what you see with some of the other like Mario games, for example, where it has you like trade off with somebody else online. So for example, in this case, for Legend of Zelda, they might have you play live, so whenever you die, it swaps with whoever else you're playing with online. It's really interesting, actually, to see just that they're willing to add this online functionality with even single-player NES games. There's a lot they could do with this, actually, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's a really, really cool thing that Nintendo is attempting to try their hand in.
Mm-hmm.
I've said this in previous discussions. Nintendo was, of course, not the first ones to achieve that. Emulators have been doing it since the beginning of their existence. So, I mean, there was also the X-Band for, I believe it was the SNES that did that as well, even though that was for the SNES, and we're talking NES here, but... so, this is not new, but for Nintendo, it is new. And what I find interesting is that this branding is completely separate from the Virtual Console branding, and it factors into an article that was released this morning. Someone asked Nintendo, I don't remember who. I mean, the article we're looking at is from Engadget.
I believe Kotaku's the one that reached out to Nintendo.
Yes, it was Kotaku who asked them, and they basically said that there are currently no plans to bring classic games together under the Virtual Console banner, as has been done on other Nintendo systems. Now, first of all, that statement should be an immediate flag to over those who think, oh my gosh, there's not going to be any other classic games released on Nintendo platforms. That is not the case. I mean, we're getting NES games. Virtual Console as a brand is dead. What Nintendo is doing is basically saying, alright, with Nintendo Switch, we are taking everything from the Wii and Wii U era, and we are literally just tweaking it and making it something fresh and new. You can actually see this as a way of distinguishing themselves from the 3DS and the Wii U and the Wii. So that way, of course there's that little stigma with the Wii U, thinking that it's an add-on, and they don't want that with the Switch. And yeah, you're probably thinking, okay, Virtual Console ain't gonna do that. But when people think of Virtual Console, they're probably gonna think of the Wii. So Nintendo wants to create this ultimately different brand for the Switch to make it its own unique, fleshed out thing. And it's understandable. So, as pointed out, yes, the brand's dead, but we're still getting classic games. Now, of course, where people are disappointed, and I'm going to be honest, I am a little disappointed in this too, but they're only revealing NES games for this so far. Of course, there could be more, and as they say, and more to be revealed. So, there's that. But it's under the NES banner for the Switch Online service. So it implies that more NES games will be revealed, and that there's very little glimpses of future systems. Now, of course, they had SNES on their page before. However, it was mysteriously erased. So we don't know what's going on with that project at the current level. However, I think we're falling into the trap that Virtual Console on Wii U and 3DS did, was that we're slowly trickling out everything, and I think that's worrisome for people. And you know what? I'm going to be honest, I'm worried too. But like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic So we'll see how this goes. Do you think that would be a hindrance at all, Tris?
So I don't think it's really going to be something too bad, and I feel like it's a matter of they want to kind of test the waters with this kind of format and new system that they're doing, and I have a feeling it's easiest for them to make that attempt and trial, so to say, with NES games. Not that they're not putting a lot of effort with those, but it's probably the best kind of grounds that they can use without making it this giant dedicated project, let's say for like, I don't know, remastering and doing like N64 games or something like that, where they could put all this effort into it and then it's not received well. If they start with NES, or as we also saw originally, they were also talking about SNES games, I think it's a good start for them to look at it this way, and if it starts to pick up and if it does well, they can add more and more to it. Now I think in this case, I mean, it's referenced as the Nintendo, or rather the NES Nintendo Switch Online. I think that's more of just to divide by console, kind of like how you can sort online. I don't think it's actually a matter of it's only going to be NES games. I think it's just that it's starting with NES games. When we see SNES, when we see N64 or whatnot, it'll be the same kind of thing, except it'll be like Nintendo 64, Nintendo Switch Online, Super Nintendo Entertainment System, Nintendo Switch Online. Like, it's a matter of tying games from that console era to Nintendo Switch Online specifically, rather than just Virtual Console Nintendo Switch Online, because I think they want to hit home the specifics here.
I basically do understand that point of view where, like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic for this service. I think all the information revealed so far is not all the information, obviously, so I think we're going to get more. I actually think we're going to get more at E3, but for this right now, specifically the NES stuff, I agree, and I see your point of view, what you're saying, Tris. I believe that, okay, this Nintendo is starting this out as a test, so that way they know, okay, if this is successful, we can bring out more systems.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I think a lot of people forget is that this company isn't Microsoft. This company isn't Sony. This is Nintendo. And Nintendo has always had a history of questionable things. I'm not saying like anti-consumer things.
Right.
I mean, of course, there's plenty of that in their history. I mean, heck, even the NES was part of the whole accusing of a monopoly from Nintendo. But the thing is, I mean, you're talking about the company who didn't allow us to cross-buy Virtual Console titles. You're talking about the company who didn't really put all that effort into the emulation of these systems. I mean, of course there were exceptions. Like, I believe Nintendo DS was okay. I think the way they did Wii stuff was pretty decent. I believe that SNES games were awesome. But, I mean, NES titles on the Wii U just looked nasty.
Yeah.
They ran fine, but the color palettes weren't, good. And it didn't seem like everything was up to snuff with what's already out there. Of course, I mean, who's really going to care about that if you're a casual consumer? But Nintendo should be about one thing, and that is quality. Quality, and again, like you said, Tris, yeah, they could be doing that to test the quality. But Nintendo is always known for messing that kind of stuff up. So
yeah, unfortunately.
it's a double-edged sword here. And again, I'm not dissing on Nintendo. I mean, come on, if we were Nintendo haters, we wouldn't be covering Nintendo in the first place. So
Exactly.
But I think it's a good criticism and worry to say that, okay, how are they going to mess this up this time? Or are they going to really provide all those games or the excitement that they promised? I mean, if we step back, and this was all the way back in 2016, so nearly 2 years ago, which, holy shit, is insane. We've heard rumors that Nintendo was messing with GameCube supports. And, of course, we haven't really heard any updates on that. The only update we've heard is a random tweet by Tom Phillips saying that plans have changed, but they're still coming. Like, they might be coming in a different form.
Yeah.
But again, those are just rumors, and we haven't seen any hints of that. We haven't seen... I mean, okay, the only hint we have seen is those GameCube and Wii titles being released for the NVIDIA Shield. in China, and because the NVIDIA Shield runs on the same architecture as the Switch, maybe differences here and there, but that's really the only thing we've seen. And from the hints that we've gotten, those are most likely from NVIDIA themselves, rather than from Nerd, who is randomly, like, rumored to be working on these projects. So we have no clue what's coming in the future, and there's a lot of uncertainty going into this. So I think it's good that, hey, Nintendo might be slowly doing this, but they delayed the entire online service for a year, and we really don't know why. I mean, you would think that they would do it for more polish. But from what we see, I mean, what's the incentive for buying a lot? I mean, of course, we'll get into more of the features in this update, but what's the incentive for this if we're just going to retread old ground and not really add all sorts of functionality to our Switch?
Right.
So, I don't know. Do you have any final thoughts on this, Tris, at all? The NES stuff?
I think like you, I'm trying to be cautiously optimistic about it. Like, in reality, it is surprising to me that they've only talked about 20 NES games with more being added regularly, but they're not talking about potentially branching out from that, so it's very vague on if it's just going to be NES or if it's going to branch. And if you bring over all of them, you're going to run out. So they're going to have to go somewhere from there. So I would think they would do more, but I also think they're probably not all going to be tied to the online service. I mean, this quote-unquote replacement virtual console, or whatever we want to call it. It's, I mean, I'm pretty sure they said in, like, the press release that they also have, you know, if people want to remaster their game, or if companies want to remaster things or re-release their older games on it, they can. Like, Sega's doing their, like, Sega Classics thing, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Sega is doing their Sega Ages line, and then you have the Arcade Classics.
Yeah, so I think they're banking on the fact that there's going to be more ways to play classic games on the Switch than just what was originally just their virtual console that everybody went through them with that on.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think that they're really testing the waters with this. This is not the conventional virtual console that we're going to be used to. It's more like a Netflix kind of service, but except it's not game streaming. I think all those files will be located on the Switch. Maybe you'll just need, like, something like PlayStation Plus does, or you'll need the online service, to access them. So we'll see. But like I said, you know, this is Nintendo, so I'm just putting my hands up and thinking, all right, you know, how are they going to do this, and how is it going to add to the service? So,
right.
Anyways, I guess we can move on from that and talk about what has a lot of people excited. And honestly, I'm a little bit excited for this. Is save data cloud backup. This has been implemented in platforms, you know, for a pretty long time. I believe the 360 had it, if I remember correctly. And then, of course,
I believe so. I do not remember offhand personally.
Yeah, and then, of course, the PS4 and Xbox One do have that. So it's kind of nice Nintendo is embracing all of that now. So, but what I find funny is that, okay, first of all, I just want to say, I'm not trying to be a boon of negativity. I'm just trying to point out, like, okay, what are the strengths of this, and how much is it going to be useful? So, I mean, it'd be different if all this was for free. If all this was for free, I would be praising it to the sun. But this is something we are paying for. So I think constructive criticism is really needed for this. But anyways, not to diverge from that too much. So the Nintendo Switch is, of course, again, getting cloud backup. And I think that's a nice feature. I think that it's nice not having all your data locked to the Switch. However, to me, they should... If there's an update that comes out before the online service that adds this, I'll be fine. But they still haven't implemented the ability to move your freaking saves from the micro SD card to the internal storage. And I think that's wrong. I think that is a wrong practice because you hear many people who have, bricked their Switches with third-party docks, and they can't recover their saves now. They and Nintendo can't really transfer them. Well, I don't think they can. Maybe Nintendo has the technology to do that, but you shouldn't have to go through customer service just to get your saves back, I think.
Right. It's a hassle that exists that they honestly should not even have to deal with at this point.
Right, exactly.
In this day.
Right, you shouldn't have to go through customer service just to get your saves back. I even heard reports of people sending their Switch in to... Basically, they were sending their Switch in for repair, and literally when they got it back, they didn't have their saves at all. So, and I think that's a little anti-consumer because you want to... some people might not want to fix their Switch even to, save their saves, no pun intended, but it's...
Right.
It's baffling that they haven't added that yet. So, I think, honestly, they should add local save swap functionality before they add the cloud saves, because the cloud saves should just be an extra incentive.
Right.
So, that's just my thoughts on that. What do you think, Tris? Do you think that it will add quite a lot to the online service?
I don't know if it would add a lot, but I think people would greatly appreciate it so that they won't have to, like, for example, I know people who have multiple micro SD cards because they keep downloading all these different games and then they keep running out of space for them. And in that case, they go through the whole problem of they don't want to have to, like, delete the data off of their system. But now with the cloud backup, they should be able to delete the software from their system but still have their save data if they ever want to go back to playing it. They just have to reinstall it because it should be tied to their account. I mean, granted, it says we'll get more details about this future closer to September, but if it is as it should be, then it means people won't have to worry as much about constantly making sure they have enough space. And I think that's actually really nice.
Yeah, it's a nice feature. Like I said, though, I just wish that local transferring of saves would be implemented.
Yeah,
I'm a little worried.
understandable.
I'm a little worried too because is this going to incentivize people to use homebrew if Nintendo doesn't add local save data, trading kind of like are people going to be incentivized to get homebrew hacks? Because I mean, if you look at the Switch it literally got broken open in the first year, and by this point probably, when the online service even starts, we're gonna have things like piracy and such, and you're gonna have people who realize how open season it is, and they're gonna attempt to use those methods, and Nintendo might have like a dip in game sales. This is extreme cases, obviously, but to me, I don't want Nintendo to mess up to the point where people have to hack their system. I want to be able to use everything in a native way.
For the most part, anybody who would use like homebrew or hacking and whatnot are already looking into it because of the Switch being completely broken open a few weeks back. And I feel like their incentive, the people who would do that, their incentive is already there, and it's the fact that they can. I've noticed with that, it does not seem to affect a large enough group of people where it really makes a difference.
I can understand that point of view,
yeah.
And we're not going to get too much into this, but I just want to say that if the will and determination is out there and it's highly advertised, you will be surprised about how many people will hack their device. If you look at what happened with the Nintendo DS and the R4 scandal, so many people used it. It actually put a dent in some of the games' sales, and the companies had to get together and effectively sue the makers of the card and get it banned all across the world. So it's not unprecedented that it'll affect sales. Same thing happened with the PSP. The PSP could run unsigned code from the beginning, which was a fuck up by Sony. Like, they fucked up really bad. This, on the other hand, you do need some skills with, messing with one of the Joy-Con pins, but people are selling these little jigs you can find on eBay, and it might be not as open season as those consoles like PSP and DS, but it sure as hell is getting close in my opinion. So I think that's a legitimate worry. Of course, the Marico motherboard revision is coming here soon, so that might be curved, but I mean, that's probably going to be a little bit until it catches up with the base units, because there's over 16, 17 million of them out in the wild right now.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and that's that is not not a number you like, you know, squint your eyes at. That is a number that is huge. So it's going to take a long time for the Marico units to really overtake the base units. So, but yeah, we'll have to see what happens. Again, like I said, it's all about how Nintendo executes everything. If they add the local, you know, save options like they should have had from the beginning, I'll be fine with it. But if they don't, and I have to depend on online infrastructure, I'm not really gonna be that happy. I think depending on only online infrastructure is a bad motive, because what happens if those servers go down in like 10, 20 years? Then all those saves are dead. You're effectively in a worse situation than if you have no PSN anymore for the PS3, and all your games are still stored on the hard drive, and your saves can be moved. So, well, again, that's just my.
I think they'll be able to come up with something, but for now, all we can really do is wait and see. I think though is they are making a good step in the right direction by even just finally allowing for cloud backup. They're late to it, but they are making the right steps, I would say.
Yeah, they are definitely making the right steps. I'm looking forward to see what this service fully offers. Like I said, I don't think this is the end of the road. Right. I mean, if this was the only thing in there, I think a lot of consumers would be turned off. So there has to be more. And, of course, there's that theory going around that Smash Brothers will be releasing alongside the service, and I fully agree. I think, honestly, this service needs Smash Brothers, and Smash Brothers needs it. Which is ironically, I listened to Game Explain's discussion beforehand, so, you know, I mean, a lot of people think that will be the case, and I agree. I think that will be a good incentive. Let me put it this way: it won't keep people subscribed for a long time. It'll sure as hell make people want to play Smash Brothers in the beginning. Right. It'll be that short-term burst.
Right. Well, thinking about even more than just Smash Bros. I mean, we're getting a little more into the online play now, which is fine. But I mean, we already have games that use a lot of online, like Splatoon 2, ARMS, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and then we have Mario Tennis on the way. And while a lot of people complain about the quality of the internet, let's say, on those, some people say they have no problems at all, while other people say they get disconnected every time they play. I think by, you know, charging for the online service, I feel like that'll come with the fact that the online service would run better.
Pokemon MMORPG when? Come on, Nintendo, Pokemon Company, you can do it. I mean, that would literally like sell so many people to the online service it wouldn't be even funny.
It would. That and Smash would just sell a lot.
Oh no! If you think Smash will sell this, Pokemon will do so much numbers. I tell you.
Even if it's just a matter of use online play to be able to do wonder trading and all these different things. Even just little things like that would do a lot, a lot.
No. Oh yeah. Pokemon will definitely be this, you know, the Switch's system seller. I can tell you that, even more so than Smash Brothers. So, anyways, do you have any final thoughts on the online thing, you know, service as a whole?
I think as a whole, the only thing I really want to say otherwise is the pricing plans, because I don't know about internationally, but I know in the U.S. pricing plans really are not bad, honestly. I mean, looking at it, individual membership, for 1 month it's $4, for 3 months it's $8, and for a year it's $20. Or if you do the family membership, which is basically just getting 8 Nintendo accounts into the same group, you do it for $35, which is essentially everybody paying a little under $5. So even if you're not an actual family, if you're just like a group of friends, and you just like none of you want to pay a lot for the internet service, you all just chip in about $5 and you have it for a year. And I think that's actually really interesting.
That is an interesting way of going about it. I believe that it's a really good pricing strategy because people will see the cheaper price and be like, all right, well, we'll dip in and see what it's like. But again, just like any other service, you have to have the features to entice the consumer, you know?
Exactly.
I'm not going to subscribe to the service just for cloud saves. I'll tell you that. You know, personally, for me, I mean, I would actually rather take a more expensive online service if they improve their online infrastructure just a bit.
Really?
Personally, I mean, if you look at Xbox Live and PlayStation Network, their infrastructure is pretty decent, other than the occasional DDoS attack. But those were I think that was like 4 years ago, so that was a long time ago. And I think right now the services are stable, and more so Xbox Live because it's Microsoft. You know, they're computing gods. But that's kind of what I'm saying. There needs to be an incentive, and even if we don't get an improvement in infrastructure, there still needs to be a lot more features to entice people. And honestly, the current subset of features is fine, but they need to really transition away from that mobile app. That mobile app, I'm sorry, is just a lousy way of doing voice chat. You can't tell me that the Switch can't do voice chat just like any other console under the sun. The Wii U could do voice chat for a limited selection of games through the Wii U gamepad, and the Switch is supposed to be more powerful than that console. So, in a sense, the Wii U does something better than the Switch in some instances.
It's awkward. It's awkward.
It's very awkward. You know, there just needs to be some clean way of getting voice chat on the Switch without having to use clunky wires and your freaking phone. I just don't get it. I just don't get their thinking. Maybe they didn't want to house the money to, or at least, you know, have the cash to house their own voice chat infrastructure. I don't know. So it's just kind of weird. But anyways, I guess that'll do it. So
yeah, I think I'm good on all my thoughts.
Yeah, same here. Like I said, it's all about just being cautiously optimistic and knowing what's coming. So that's a good plan. Don't get overexcited, but yet still pay attention. That's a good motto to live by. Same thing coming up for Smash Brothers, because we'll be covering that shit when it gets revealed and blown out E3. You'll be sure Source Gaming will be on the case for that. Even by that point, if they reveal online service plans, they'll probably be buried by Smash Brothers news. So I guess Nintendo has the advantage then.
Yep.
So, but yeah. Anyways, we want to thank you guys for watching. Be sure to follow us on our social media pages, including our Facebook and Twitter accounts. We want to thank our super Patreon, the Duke of Dorks, for donating to us. You can check out his channel, which will be in the end card of this video. We also have a Discord that's pretty decent and Smash Bros. Speculation, so we hope you guys check that out. Like we said, everything will be linked in the description below. We hope you guys enjoy the video, and we will see you in the next one.